The morning had unfolded in its usual, undisturbed manner, a gentle dance of light and shadow through the curtains, until the sharp ring of the phone cut through the silence, an ominous herald. My heart thudded with a premonition as I reached for the receiver, the cool plastic suddenly seeming like a conduit to another realm. "Mrs. Thompson?" The voice on the other end was clinical, detached, a voice accustomed to delivering news that could alter the course of lives. "Yes, speaking," I managed to reply, my voice a mere whisper, betraying the sudden onset of dread that gripped me. "This is St. Mary's Hospital. I'm calling to inform you that your husband, David Thompson, was admitted early this morning, following a heart attack. He's stable now, but in critical condition. We recommend you come to the hospital as soon as you can." The world seemed to pause, the air thick with words unspoken, a moment suspended between the past and an uncertain future. "I'll be there immediately," I said, a strength surfacing from within, propelling me into action despite the shock that threatened to immobilize me. The hospital was a blur of white walls and hushed voices, a maze that led me to the waiting room where she sat. The woman, a stranger intertwined in the tapestry of my life without my knowledge, looked up as I approached, her eyes red-rimmed, a mirror of my own fears and confusion. "Are you David's wife?" Her voice was soft, almost hesitant, as if aware of the intrusion her presence marked in my world. "Yes, I am." "And you are?" I replied, my tone polite yet firm, a defense mechanism against the vulnerability that this situation imposed upon me. She looked down, fidgeting with the envelope in her hands, an object that seemed to weigh heavily upon her. I was a friend of David's. He asked me to give you this," she said, extending the envelope towards me, her gesture laden with an unspoken gravity. Taking the envelope, I noted the familiar scrawl of David's handwriting, my name etched across the front in ink. A wave of emotions threatened to overwhelm me, curiosity, anger, sadness, a maelstrom of feelings elicited by a piece of paper and the secrets it contained. "Thank you," I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging within. "Did he say anything else?" "No, that's all." "I'm so sorry," she whispered before standing up and walking away, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the letter that promised to unveil a hidden chapter of my husband's life. Back home, the envelope sat unopened on the kitchen table, a silent testament to the precipice on which I found myself. With trembling hands, I broke the seal, unfolding the letter to reveal David's words, each sentence a step into the unknown. "My dearest love," it began, the words a blend of apology and confession, a bridge across the chasm that had suddenly opened between us. "If you're reading this, then I'm sorry. Sorry for the secrets I've kept and the pain they might cause." As I read through David's confession, the reality of his affair, the existence of a child born from that liaison, my world shifted on its axis. The man I thought I knew, the life we had built together, all called into question by the revelations contained within the folds of paper I held in my hands. In that moment, standing at the crossroads of forgiveness and betrayal, I realized that the journey ahead would be one of the most challenging I had ever faced. Yet, it was a journey I knew I had to undertake, for the sake of our family, for the sake of a child innocent of the circumstances of his birth, and for my own sake, to find peace in the midst of the storm David's actions had unleashed. After reading David's letter, a tempest of emotions churned within me. The confession laid bare on the kitchen table illuminated my world in a stark, unforgiving light. David's words, heavy with regret, echoed in my mind, a relentless reminder of the seismic shift in the foundation of our marriage. In the midst of my turmoil, the doorbell rang, a sound so mundane yet jarringly out of place in the chaos of my current reality. I hesitated before answering, half expecting another bearer of bad news. Instead, I found Mia, our daughter, standing on the doorstep, her eyes wide with concern. "Mom, what's wrong? You look upset." Mia's intuition always had a way of cutting through pretenses. I forced a smile, the letter crumpled in my hand, a stark contrast to the facade I attempted to uphold. "It's nothing, sweetheart. Just some unexpected news about your dad." Mia stepped inside, her gaze drifting to the letter on the table. "Is Dad okay?" "The hospital called me too, but they wouldn't say much." I sighed, realizing the futility of trying to shield her from the truth. Your father had a heart attack. He's stable now, but there's more, Mia. Her brow furrowed, a reflection of my own confusion and pain. More? What do you mean? I gestured to the chair opposite me, the letter now a bridge between us, a conduit for the revelations about to unfold. Your dad wrote this letter. It's about a part of his life we didn't know about. Mia read the letter in silence, her expression morphing from confusion to shock, then settling into a thoughtful quiet. A brother, she finally whispered, the word hanging between us, laden with implications we were only beginning to grasp. Yes, I confirmed, the reality of the situation feeling more tangible spoken aloud. David had a son with someone else. A son he's been keeping a secret. Mia leaned back, processing the information. And this woman at the hospital? She was the one who gave me the letter. She said she was just a friend of your father's, but I think there's more to it. We sat in silence, the magnitude of David's confession enveloping us in a shared bewilderment. Mom, what are we going to do? Mia's voice, usually so full of conviction, trembled with uncertainty. I took her hand, finding strength in our connection. We're going to meet him, Mia. Your brother. It's what your father wanted, and I think it's the right thing to do. Mia nodded, her resilience surfacing as she squeezed my hand in return. Okay, Mom. We'll do this, together. The decision to welcome an unknown part of David's life into ours was daunting, yet it felt like the only path forward. As we began to plan our next steps, I couldn't help but feel that the envelope's weight had shifted. It was no longer just a bearer of secrets and pain, but a catalyst for a journey of understanding, forgiveness, and perhaps, healing. In the silence of the kitchen, with the letter lying open between us, Mia and I found a new resolve. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges we could scarcely anticipate. Yet, in that moment, we understood that facing those challenges together was the only way to navigate the complexities of the revelations that had upended our lives. The journey to understanding and acceptance was just beginning, and as daunting as it seemed, I knew we would face it as a family, no matter what the future held. Given the constraints and policies, I'll create a narrative focusing on emotional depth and character development while ensuring compliance with the guidelines provided. The days following our decision to meet David's other son, whom the letter revealed as Ethan, were a blur of anticipation and apprehension. Mia and I had discussed at length how to approach this delicate situation, knowing that the outcome would significantly impact all our lives. On the day of the meeting, Mia and I found ourselves at a quaint little cafe downtown, a neutral ground where we hoped to start bridging the gap that David's secrets had created. The autumn wind played with the chimes at the cafe's entrance, a melodic backdrop to the tumultuous emotions within. He should be here any minute, Mia said, her voice a mixture of nervousness and curiosity. She fidgeted with her coffee cup, her eyes scanning the cafe for any sign of Ethan. I reached across the table, covering her hand with mine in a silent gesture of support. We'll get through this together, I reassured her, though my own heart was racing. Just then, the door opened, admitting a young man whose resemblance to David was unmistakable. He paused at the entrance, his gaze sweeping the cafe until it landed on us. Taking a deep breath, he approached our table. Ethan? I asked, standing up to greet him. My voice was steadier than I felt. Yes, Mrs. Thompson? And you must be Mia, Ethan replied, his voice carrying a hint of David's warmth. He looked at us with a mixture of apprehension and hope. We invited him to sit, and for a moment, we all just looked at each other, the weight of the situation settling around us like a tangible presence. Ethan, thank you for agreeing to meet us, I started, breaking the silence. I know this must be as difficult for you as it is for us. He nodded, his hands clasped tightly on the table. When my mom told me about my dad, and about you, I didn't know what to think. But I knew I had to meet you. Mia leaned forward, her youthful bravery shining through. We didn't know about you until recently. It's a lot to take in, but we're here because we want to understand. We want to know you. Ethan's gaze flickered between us, and I saw the walls he had built begin to crumble. I've always known about you, in a way. My mom, she told me about my dad, but she wanted to protect me, to keep me away from any pain, I guess. The conversation that followed was a dance of words, a careful exploration of our shared connections and the myriad emotions that David's letter had unleashed. We talked about David, about the impact his choices had made on our lives, and about the future. I never wanted to cause any trouble, Ethan said, his voice laden with concern. I just wanted to know my father, and maybe understand a bit more about where I come from. And we want to understand too, I replied, feeling a sense of kinship with this young man who was both a stranger and family. We're all navigating this the best we can. As the afternoon sun began to wane, casting long shadows across the cafe, I realized that this meeting was only the first step on a long journey of healing and reconciliation. Ethan, Mia, and I were bound by a common thread, one woven from the fabric of David's choices. But it was up to us to decide how to move forward, to weave a new narrative from the tangled web of the past. We have a lot to figure out, Mia said, encapsulating the sentiment that hung in the air. But I think we can do it, together. Ethan smiled, a genuine, hopeful expression that mirrored my own feelings. Together, he agreed. As we parted ways that day, I felt a cautious optimism take root. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges and the need for forgiveness. Yet, in the presence of Ethan and Mia, I found the strength to believe that we could forge a new path, one illuminated by understanding and the shared desire to heal the wounds of the past. The days following our initial meeting with Ethan were filled with a cautious optimism and many questions. Mia and I found ourselves discussing the future, pondering how we could integrate Ethan into our lives in a way that honored all our feelings and respected the complexity of our situation. One evening, as we sat in the living room, surrounded by old photo albums and memories, Mia broached a subject that had been lingering in the back of our minds. Mom, do you think Dad knew about Ethan's existence all along? Do you think he wanted us to meet him? Mia's inquiry was gentle, yet it pierced the heart of our family's silent queries. I sighed, turning the pages of an album absent-mindedly. I believe your father was torn. His letter seemed like a plea for understanding, an attempt to mend what he broke. Meeting Ethan was his wish, perhaps a way to right some wrongs. Mia nodded, her expression thoughtful. Ethan seems nice. It's weird thinking I have a brother I never knew about. But I'm glad we met him. I think Dad would have wanted that. Her maturity in the face of such revelations astounded me. I'm proud of you, Mia. This isn't easy, but you're handling it with so much grace. We fell into a comfortable silence, each lost in thought until the doorbell rang, slicing through the quiet of the evening. Ethan stood on the doorstep when I opened the door, a mix of nervousness and determination etched on his features. Hi, Mrs. Thompson, Mia. I hope I'm not intruding. I've been thinking a lot about our talk, and I wondered if we could chat more. Maybe help me understand more about my dad from your perspective? Ethan's request hung in the air, laden with the weight of shared history and uncharted futures. Of course, Ethan. Come in, I said, stepping aside to let him enter. Mia smiled at him, a gesture of welcome that seemed to ease some of his apprehension. As we gathered around the kitchen table with cups of tea, the evening unfolded into a tapestry of stories and revelations about David. Mia and I shared anecdotes of his life, his quirks, and the love we knew he had for his family. It's strange, Ethan began, his voice tinged with a mix of sadness and curiosity. Growing up, I had this image of my dad from the stories my mom told me. But hearing about him from you, it's like I'm getting to know a whole different side of him. It's never easy, reconciling the different facets of a person, I admitted. David was complex, full of contradictions. But he loved deeply, and I believe he wanted the best for all of us, even if his choices didn't always reflect that. Mia reached across the table, placing a hand over Ethan's. We're figuring this out together, Ethan. You're not alone in this. His gratitude was palpable, a silent acknowledgement of the newfound connection between us. Thank you, both of you. This means everything to me. That night, as Ethan left, promising to return soon, I realized that our journey towards understanding and acceptance was just beginning. David's actions had woven a complex web that bound us together in unexpected ways. Yet, through the openness and willingness to connect, we were slowly unraveling the knots, revealing the possibility of a new family dynamic built on the foundations of empathy, respect, and love. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with potential for both healing and heartache. But in that moment, I believed that together, we could navigate the complexities of our intertwined lives, forging a future where the shadows of the past no longer held sway over our collective happiness. In the weeks that followed Ethan's second visit, our lives began to intertwine in ways that none of us could have anticipated. The initial awkwardness gave way to a comfortable familiarity, as if Ethan had always been a part of our lives. Mia, in particular, embraced her role as a big sister with enthusiasm, her bond with Ethan strengthening with each passing day. One Saturday afternoon, as autumn painted the world in hues of amber and gold, we decided to take a family outing to the local park. The crisp air was filled with the laughter of children and the rustle of falling leaves, a perfect backdrop for our growing family to create new memories. As we found a spot under an old oak tree, Mia and Ethan kicked a ball around, their laughter a balm to my soul. Watching them, a sense of peace settled over me, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. "Ethan," Mia called out, pausing to catch her breath, "you're pretty good at this." Ethan grinned, dribbling the ball with ease. "Thanks. You're not too bad yourself, sis." Their easy banter was a joy to witness, a sign of the healing that was taking place within our family. I unpacked our picnic, spreading out sandwiches and fruit, as they continued to play. Later, as we sat enjoying our meal, Ethan turned to me, a serious look on his face. "Mrs. Thompson, I want to say thank you for welcoming me into your lives like this. I know it couldn't have been easy." I smiled, reaching across to squeeze his hand. "Ethan, you're part of this family. And please, call me Emily." His smile in response was all the answer I needed. Mia chimed in, her voice filled with sincerity. "Yeah, Ethan. We're in this together now. You're stuck with us." We all laughed, the sound echoing through the park, a testament to the resilience of the human heart and the capacity for forgiveness and love. As the afternoon gave way to evening, and the park began to empty, we gathered our things, not ready for the day to end. "How about a movie night?" I suggested, eager to prolong the sense of unity we'd found. Ethan's eyes lit up. "That sounds great. Can I pick the movie?" Mia groaned playfully. "Only if it's not one of those boring documentaries you love." "Deal." Ethan agreed, and we made our way home, a sense of contentment enveloping us. That night, as we sat curled up on the couch, watching Ethan's choice, which, for the record, was not a documentary, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought us to this moment. David's letter, once a harbinger of pain and betrayal, had become the catalyst for something beautiful, a family rediscovering its strength, embracing its newest member with open hearts. The road ahead would undoubtedly hold its challenges, but in that moment, as I looked at Mia and Ethan laughing together at something on the screen, I knew we were building something enduring. A family, redefined not by the secrets that once threatened to tear us apart, but by the love and acceptance that now bound us together. This chapter in our lives was just beginning, a narrative woven from the threads of past mistakes and present forgiveness. And as we sat there, together in the soft glow of the television, I felt a profound gratitude for the twist of fate that had brought Ethan into our lives, turning shadows into light, and strangers into family. As autumn waned into winter, our newly blended family found comfort in the routines we established together. Ethan had become a fixture in our home, his presence a constant reminder of the complexity and beauty of human connections. Mia and Ethan's relationship flourished, their initial camaraderie blossoming into a deep sibling bond that warmed my heart. One chilly evening, as we gathered in the living room with steaming cups of hot chocolate, Ethan broached a subject that had been on all our minds. "Emily, Mia," he began, his voice laced with a mixture of hesitation and resolve, "I've been thinking a lot about Dad, about David. I know I never really knew him, but I feel like I'm starting to, through both of you. Mia leaned forward, her expression encouraging. Ethan, Dad loved you. Even though he made mistakes, he wanted us to be a family. I see that now. I nodded, the weight of David's letter and his wishes for us still fresh in my mind. Your father had his flaws, like all of us, but he loved deeply. He would have wanted you to know that, Ethan. Ethan's gaze flickered between us, a vulnerability in his eyes that he seldom showed. Do you think it's possible to miss someone you never really knew? It's more than possible, I replied softly, understanding the complexity of his emotions. You're mourning the idea of him, Ethan, and the relationship you could have had. It's a natural part of coming to terms with all of this. Mia reached out, taking Ethan's hand in hers. We're your family, Ethan. We'll help you through this, every step of the way. The conversation shifted then, as we began to share memories of David, stories of his quirks, his laughter, and the love he had for his family. It was a cathartic experience, a way for Ethan to connect with the father he never knew and for Mia and me to remember David in a new light. As the night deepened and the embers in the fireplace dwindled to a soft glow, I suggested something that felt like the next natural step in our journey of healing and connection. I think it's time we visit David's grave together. It would be a good way for us to honor his memory as a family. Ethan's response was immediate, a mixture of gratitude and relief evident in his voice. I'd like that, Emily. Thank you. Mia squeezed his hand, a silent show of support. We'll do it together, Ethan. It'll be our way of saying goodbye, and hello. The days leading up to our visit were filled with a quiet anticipation. When the day finally arrived, we stood together before David's resting place, the winter sun casting long shadows across the ground. It was a moment of profound significance, a tangible acknowledgement of our past and a hopeful glance toward our future. David, I hope you're at peace, knowing that we're all here together, I said, my voice steady despite the tears that pricked at my eyes. Ethan knelt, placing a flower on the grave. Dad, I wish I could have known you. But I promise to make you proud. Mia wrapped her arm around Ethan, her other hand holding mine. We're a family because of you, Dad. We'll take care of each other. As we left the cemetery that day, the crisp winter air felt a little less cold, the path ahead a little less daunting. Our family, forged from loss and love, had taken a significant step toward healing. The shadows that once loomed so large in our lives were now behind us, dispelled by the light of understanding and the warmth of newfound bonds. In the end, David's letter did not just unveil the shadows of his past, it illuminated the path to our future, a future where love, forgiveness, and family reigned supreme. As we moved forward, I knew that whatever challenges we might face, we would face them together, as a family united not just by blood, but by choice and by the unbreakable bonds of the heart. The day Michael left still haunted me like a relentless ghost from my past. Our once happy home, filled with laughter and dreams of a future together, had become nothing but a hollow shell, echoing with the words of our final confrontation. You're infertile and single. His words cut deeper than any knife, a cruel declaration that marked the end of our journey together. The room spun around me as he packed his bags, his frustration and disappointment manifesting in every item he shoved into his suitcase. Michael, please, I begged, tears streaming down my face, don't do this. We can try again, explore other options. Please. He paused, his back to me, the tension in his shoulders speaking volumes. I can't do this anymore, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, laden with a mixture of sadness and resolve. I need more than this, more than what you can give me. The finality in his tone shattered the last of my hopes, leaving me to grapple with the reality of my situation. Alone, infertile, and abandoned by the man I loved, I was forced to confront a future I had never envisioned for myself. In the years that followed, I threw myself into my career, allowing the routine of work to numb the ache of my empty womb and the betrayal of my heart. The diagnosis of infertility, once a private sorrow, had become an indelible part of my identity, a fact I carried with me like a shadow. Yet, life, in its unfathomable way, decided to rewrite my story. The routine checkup that revealed the impossible ignited a spark of hope in the desolation of my existence. "You're pregnant," my doctor announced, the words surreal, a beacon of light in the overwhelming darkness. The news of my pregnancy was a miracle, a gift that defied every expectation and every limitation I had come to accept about myself. Lucas's birth was a rebirth for me, a chance to love and to be loved unconditionally, to experience the joys of motherhood I had long thought denied to me. As Lucas grew, so did my strength, and with it, a newfound sense of purpose. Our walks in the park became our sanctuary, a place where we could explore and laugh, free from the shadows of my past. It was on one of these walks that fate decided to come full circle. Spotting Michael on a bench, older yet unmistakably the man I once knew, reopened old wounds and stirred emotions I thought I had long since buried. "Is this your son?" he asked, surprise evident in his voice as he approached us, his steps uncertain. "Yes, meet Lucas," I replied, pride swelling in my chest as I held Lucas closer, a living testament to the life I had built from the ashes of my past. Michael's gaze shifted between Lucas and me, a myriad of emotions flickering across his face. I heard you were infertile," he stammered, the irony of the situation not lost on him. I smiled, the bitterness of the past fading in the light of my present. "Life is full of surprises. Lucas is my son, my miracle." The brief conversation that followed was a closure I hadn't realized I needed. Given the constraints and policies, let's continue the narrative journey, delving deeper into Chapter 2, where life's unexpected twists begin to unfold. The crisp air of the morning had a peculiar sense of anticipation, as if the universe itself was holding its breath for the revelation that was about to unfold in my life. The sterile scent of the clinic seemed more pronounced that day, each beep and click from the machinery a reminder of the countless visits that had all ended in disappointment. Sitting on the examination table, the paper beneath me crinkling with every nervous twitch, I awaited Dr. Simmons, the bearer of news, good or bad, for what felt like the 100th time. When she entered, her face was unreadable, a professional mask that gave nothing away. "Good morning, Sarah," she greeted, her tone neutral as she flipped through the notes on her clipboard. "Morning, Dr. Simmons," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper, bracing myself for the familiar wave of bad news. She paused, looking at me over the rim of her glasses, and for the first time in a long time, I saw a glimmer of something different in her eyes. "Hope, perhaps? I don't quite know how to say this, considering your history, but you're pregnant, Sarah. Congratulations." The words hung in the air, a sentence I had longed to hear yet feared would never be spoken. For a moment, I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Pregnant? After all these years? Are you sure? My voice cracked, the floodgates of emotions threatening to burst open. Very sure. The tests are conclusive. You're about 6 weeks along. Dr. Simmons smiled, a genuine warmth breaking through her professional demeanor. Tears welled up in my eyes, a mix of joy, disbelief, and 1,000 unspoken prayers finally answered. I can't believe it, I stammered, a hand instinctively finding its way to my still flat abdomen. It's quite the miracle, Sarah. I know it's a lot to take in, but I assure you, this is very real. You're going to be a mother. She handed me a tissue, her smile widening. The rest of the appointment passed in a blur, details about prenatal vitamins, next steps, and follow-up appointments washing over me like waves. I walked out of the clinic in a daze, the world around me suddenly awash in a new light. As I made my way through the park, heading home, the reality of my situation began to sink in. I, Sarah Thompson, once deemed infertile and left to navigate the wreckage of a failed marriage alone, was going to have a baby. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me. Michael had left in search of a family, and here I was, about to start one on my own. Mommy, why are you crying? Are you sad? Lucas, ever observant, tugged at my hand, pulling me from my reverie. I knelt down, pulling him into a hug, my heart swelling with love for the little boy who had already brought so much joy into my life. "No, sweetheart, these are happy tears." "Very happy tears," I assured him, planting a kiss atop his head. As we continued our walk, I realized that this new chapter in our lives was a testament to the unexpected twists of fate. Lucas, my miracle, was proof that even in the depths of despair, there's always a sliver of hope waiting to be discovered. The journey ahead would undoubtedly be filled with challenges, but as I looked down at Lucas, his hand securely in mine, I knew we were ready to face whatever came our way. Together, we would navigate this new adventure, our bond a beacon of light guiding us through the uncertainties of the future. And so, with a heart full of hope and a future suddenly bright with possibility, I stepped forward into the unknown, ready to embrace the miracle that life had bestowed upon us. Given your request to expand upon Chapter 3 with dialogue and detailed narrative, let's dive into the story, focusing on the emotional and dynamic encounter in the park. The park was alive with the vibrant colors of fall, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing within me as Lucas and I navigated through the sea of fallen leaves. My son, with his boundless energy and innocent laughter, was oblivious to the storm of emotions his presence would soon stir. "Mommy, look how high I can swing," Lucas called out, his voice full of glee as he soared back and forth. I smiled, watching him with a heart full of love. "Be careful, sweetheart," I responded, the warmth in my voice belying the sudden chill that gripped me as my gaze fell upon a familiar figure sitting alone on a bench. Michael looked older, the years having etched lines of regret and sorrow into his features. His eyes met mine, and for a moment, the world stood still, the echoes of our past resonating loudly in the silent exchange. He stood, taking hesitant steps towards us, his posture a mix of uncertainty and resolve. "Is this your son?" he asked, his voice betraying a hint of surprise and something deeper, perhaps remorse. Lucas, curious, approached, his hand slipping into mine as he eyed Michael with a child's open curiosity. "Yes, meet Lucas," I replied, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions threatening to surface. "Lucas, this is an old friend of Mommy's." Lucas offered a shy smile, his innocence a soothing balm on the raw edges of my heart. "Hi," he said simply, the single word carrying the weight of 1,000 questions. Michael's gaze lingered on Lucas, then shifted to me, a silent plea for understanding in his eyes. I heard you were infertile," he stammered, the irony of the situation not lost on him. I couldn't help but smile, a genuine expression of contentment and pride. "Life is full of surprises. Lucas is my son, my miracle." The brief conversation that followed was a delicate dance around the remnants of our shared history. Michael spoke of his life, the choices he made in the wake of our separation, and the solitude that had become his constant companion. "I'm happy for you. Truly." His words were soft, laden with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. Perhaps it was genuine happiness for me, or maybe it was regret for what he had lost. As we parted ways, Michael's silhouette receding into the distance, Lucas looked up at me with wide, questioning eyes. "Who was that man, Mommy?" I squeezed his hand, a gesture of reassurance for both him and myself. "Just someone from my past, sweetie. Someone who helped me find my way to you," I answered, the truth of my words wrapping around us like a warm embrace. As Lucas and I resumed our walk, the encounter with Michael felt like a chapter closing, allowing the light of new beginnings to shine through. The pain and heartache he had caused were now just shadows, faint and distant, overtaken by the joy and love Lucas brought into my life. "Mommy, can we get ice cream?" Lucas's request pulled me back to the present, his voice filled with hope and anticipation. I laughed, the sound mingling with the rustle of leaves underfoot. "Yes, we can get ice cream." As we walked away, hand in hand, the park behind us, I realized that the encounter with Michael wasn't just a confrontation with my past, it was a testament to my strength, my resilience, and the beautiful life I had built from the ashes of my heartbreak. Lucas was not just a reminder of what I had gained in the face of loss, he was a symbol of my redemption, my miracle that defied all odds. The brisk autumn morning held a sense of new beginnings as Lucas and I made our way to the park, our breaths visible in the cool air. Lucas's laughter filled the space between us, a sweet melody that eased the knots of apprehension within me. Today wasn't just another day, it was the day I decided to face my past head-on, with Michael. As Lucas played on the swing, I spotted Michael approaching. Time had etched its story on his face, lines of regret mingling with the familiar features I once knew so well. "Sarah," Michael greeted, his voice carrying a mix of emotions. "Michael," I acknowledged, my stance guarded yet open to the conversation that needed to happen. He glanced at Lucas, who was now curiously observing us. "He's your son?" Michael asked, his voice betraying his surprise. "Yes, meet Lucas," I introduced, pride swelling in my chest as Lucas approached, a cautious curiosity in his steps. "Hi," Lucas said, his gaze flitting between Michael and me, sensing the weight of the moment. "Hello, Lucas. I'm an old friend of your mom's," Michael managed, the title feeling inadequate for the torrent of emotions I knew he was experiencing. We found a bench nearby, the autumn leaves a colorful tapestry underfoot. Lucas, sensing the adults needed to talk, went back to the swing, casting occasional glances our way. "Sarah, I heard you couldn't have children," Michael started, the confusion evident in his tone. I couldn't help but smile softly at the irony. "Life is full of surprises, Michael. Lucas is my miracle." Michael nodded, absorbing the reality in front of him. "I'm happy for you, truly," he said after a moment, his gaze lingering on Lucas. "I spent years regretting my decision, wondering if I made a mistake." "Michael, we both made choices based on what we knew and felt at the time," I replied, the years of pain and growth lending me a perspective I once lacked. "I won't pretend your leaving didn't hurt, but it led me here, to Lucas. For that, I can't hold on to the bitterness." He looked at me, a mixture of gratitude and sorrow in his eyes. "You've always been stronger than me, Sarah. I'm sorry for the pain I caused you. It took me a long time to understand, but I forgive you, Michael," I confessed, the words freeing a part of me I hadn't realized was still captive to the past. "We've both moved on, and that's okay." Lucas came running back, breaking the moment. "Mom, can we get ice cream?" I laughed, the sound light and genuine. "Of course, sweetheart. Michael, would you like to join us?" His pause was brief, a decision made in the space of a heartbeat. "I'd like that, thank you." As we walked to the nearby ice cream stand, Lucas chatting excitedly about his favorite flavors, I felt a closure and a sense of peace that had eluded me for years. Life had come full circle, not in the way I had once imagined, but in a manner that brought healing and redemption. The encounter with Michael, once feared, became a step toward understanding and forgiveness. Our shared history, marked by loss and love, had diverged into separate paths, yet for a brief moment, we were able to acknowledge and appreciate the journey. As we said our goodbyes, Michael's parting words echoed with sincerity. "Thank you, Sarah, for this chance. You've built a beautiful life." Watching him walk away, I realized that our past no longer held power over me. The scars had healed, leaving behind lessons of resilience and the capacity for forgiveness. Turning to Lucas, who was happily enjoying his ice cream, I knew that our future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. Together, we would navigate whatever came our way, strengthened by the love and understanding that had emerged from the shadows of the past. As the days grew shorter and the leaves turned from gold to brown, a subtle shift occurred in the rhythm of our lives. The encounter with Michael had not only closed a chapter long left open, but also paved the way for new beginnings. Lucas, with his ever-curious mind and boundless energy, became the bridge between the past I had struggled to reconcile and the future I was eager to embrace. One crisp evening, as Lucas and I sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by his drawings and homework, he posed a question that caught me off guard. "Mom, why did that man, Michael, want to see us?" "He seemed sad," Lucas inquired, his pencil paused mid-air. I sighed, searching for words that would satisfy his curiosity without burdening his young heart. "Michael is someone from my past, someone who made a big mistake but is learning how to fix it. We met him because it's important to forgive, Lucas, and to move forward." Lucas nodded, processing this. Does that mean he's our friend now? In a way, yes. He's someone we can be kind to, I answered, hoping to instill in Lucas the values of compassion and understanding. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, but Lucas's question lingered in my mind. It was a reminder of the intricate web of relationships that defined our lives, each connection a thread in the larger tapestry of our story. The following weekend, as we embarked on our usual walk through the park, I noticed Lucas's gaze lingering on the bench where we had met Michael. The bench was empty now, a silent witness to the moment of reconciliation that had taken place. Mom, do you think people can really change? Lucas asked, a hint of wonder in his voice. I believe they can, sweetheart. But it takes courage and a lot of hard work, I replied, squeezing his hand reassuringly. Lucas smiled, a reflection of his boundless optimism. I'm glad Michael is trying to be better. Everyone deserves a second chance, right? Right, I agreed, my heart swelling with pride at his insight. Our conversation was interrupted by the familiar sound of Michael's voice calling out to us. He approached with a hesitant smile, holding a small model airplane. Lucas, I thought you might like this. I remember you mentioned you liked planes, Michael said, offering the toy to Lucas with a hopeful glance. Lucas's eyes lit up, and he accepted the gift with a shy, thank you. The gesture, simple yet profound, marked another step toward healing the rifts of the past. Would you like to join us for our walk? I invited, surprised at my own willingness to extend the olive branch further. Michael accepted with a nod, gratitude evident in his expression. As we walked, Lucas chattering excitedly about school and his new airplane, I observed the tentative yet genuine interactions between him and Michael. It was clear that while the wounds of the past may never fully disappear, the effort to mend them could lead to unexpected friendships and a sense of closure. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, I realized that our encounter with Michael had not only offered a chance for forgiveness, but had also shown Lucas the power of compassion and the importance of second chances. In his own way, Lucas was teaching us both how to rebuild bridges, one small step at a time. Returning home that evening, the model airplane in Lucas's hands a symbol of new connections, I felt a sense of peace. Our family's journey had taken us through storms and into calmer waters, where the echoes of redemption whispered of hope, understanding, and the promise of new beginnings. As autumn gave way to the crisp beginnings of winter, the world around us transformed into a canvas of white, mirroring the blank slate our lives seemed to offer. The park where we had met Michael, now silent under a blanket of snow, held the promise of new memories to be created, of wounds healed by the balm of time and understanding. One chilly afternoon, as Lucas and I sat by the fireplace, the warmth of the flames competing with the cold seeping through the windows, he brought up Michael again, his questions thoughtful and probing. Mom, do you think Michael is lonely? Lucas asked, his eyes fixed on the dance of the flames. I paused, considering the complexity of human emotions, the solitude that often accompanied regret. He might be, Lucas. Sometimes, people are left alone with their thoughts and the choices they've made. Lucas nodded, a maturity beyond his years shadowing his features. I was thinking, maybe we could invite him for Christmas. Would that be weird? The idea, unexpected yet heartwarmingly generous, took me by surprise. It's a very kind thought, Lucas. Are you sure? Yeah. Everyone deserves to be with family during Christmas, right? Lucas's innocence and capacity for forgiveness were a lesson in themselves, a reminder of the purity of a child's heart. The decision made, we extended the invitation to Michael, who accepted with a mixture of surprise and gratitude that was evident even through the phone. I'd be honored to join you. Thank you, Lucas, Sarah. Christmas Eve arrived, a flurry of activity filling our home with laughter and the scent of baking cookies. Michael arrived, a small tree in tow, a peace offering of sorts. Lucas's excitement was palpable, his earlier reservations forgotten in the spirit of the holiday. As we decorated the tree together, Michael shared stories of Christmases past, of traditions and memories that painted a picture of the man he used to be, and the man he hoped to become. Putting the star on the tree was always my favorite part, Michael confessed, a nostalgic glint in his eyes. Can we do it together, then? Lucas proposed, his voice hopeful. Together, they placed the star atop the tree, a symbol of unity and new beginnings. The act, simple in its execution, was profound in its significance, weaving a new thread into the fabric of our redefined family. Later, as we gathered around the dinner table, the warmth of shared stories and laughter filling the room, I proposed a toast. To new beginnings, to forgiveness, and to the family we choose. Cheers, we echoed, our glasses raised in a silent vow to embrace the future, whatever it may hold. After dinner, as Lucas nestled into bed, his eyes heavy with sleep, he murmured, "This was the best Christmas, Mom." "It was, sweetheart," I agreed, my heart full. It was. Michael and I sat in silence after Lucas had drifted off to sleep, the events of the evening wrapping around us like a comforting blanket. "Sarah, I don't know what to say. Today was more than I ever could have hoped for," Michael said, his voice laced with emotion. "You don't have to say anything, Michael. Today was about healing, about moving forward. Let's just keep taking it one step at a time," I replied, the glow of the fireplace casting soft shadows across the room. As the night deepened, a sense of peace settled over our home, the kind that comes from knowing you've weathered the storm and emerged stronger on the other side. Our journey, marked by pain, forgiveness, and unexpected joy, had led us to this moment of quiet contentment, a testament to the enduring power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. In the end, our story was one of redemption, not just for Michael or for me, but for Lucas, the innocent soul who had shown us the way. Together, we looked toward a future not defined by the past but forged from the choices we made in the present, choices inspired by love, compassion, and the promise of new beginnings. The autumn evening wrapped around us like a cozy blanket, its crisp air filled with the scent of burning wood from distant fireplaces. Lily, with her golden curls bouncing with each step, chattered excitedly about her day at school as we walked back to my home. Her innocence and joy were infectious, reminding me why these moments were precious. "Auntie, did you see how big the moon is tonight? It's like a giant pumpkin," Lily exclaimed, pointing upwards with a small hand, her face alight with wonder. I laughed, following her gaze to the night sky. "It is, isn't it? Halloween is just around the corner, after all. Maybe it's getting ready for the big night." As we entered the house, the comforting warmth enveloped us, chasing away the evening chill. I set about preparing dinner, with Lily eagerly taking on the role of my little helper. She loved to cook, a trait she must have inherited from her mother, my sister. "What are we making tonight, Auntie?" Lily asked, standing on her tiptoes to peek at the ingredients laid out on the counter. "Your favorite, spaghetti and meatballs. And for dessert, chocolate chip cookies," I replied, watching her eyes light up at the mention of cookies. "Yay! Can I help with the cookies?" she asked, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "Of course, you're my top chef," I said, ruffling her hair gently, setting off a giggle that filled the room with its melody. Dinner was a lively affair, with Lily animatedly recounting her adventures at school, from the new song they learned in music class to the funny story her teacher told. However, as the sky outside darkened, a noticeable change came over her. Her vibrant tales dwindled to silence, her gaze frequently drifting towards the hallway leading to her temporary bedroom. "Lily, is everything okay? You've gone quiet on me," I observed, concern tinting my voice as I cleared the dishes. She hesitated, her fork playing aimlessly with the remnants of her meal. "Auntie, can I ask you something strange?" "Anything, sweetheart. What's on your mind?" I asked, sitting down next to her, giving her my full attention. Can I sleep in the closet tonight?" Her request was so soft I almost missed it. "The closet?" I echoed, perplexed. "Why would you want to do that, Lily?" She bit her lip, casting a wary glance towards the dark hallway as if it held secrets only she could see. Because she told me she wouldn't follow me there, she finally whispered, a shiver visibly running through her small frame. Who, Lily? Who told you that? The question left my lips before I could stop it, a knot of fear forming in my stomach. The lady in the hallway, she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. She stands at my bedroom door at night. She scares me. A cold chill swept through me, the warmth of the kitchen suddenly feeling miles away. The lady in the hallway, I repeated, the words feeling heavy, laden with an unease that gripped my heart. Lily nodded, her eyes wide and fearful. Yes. She just stands there, watching. I don't like it. The seriousness in her voice, the genuine fear in her eyes, left no room for doubt. This was not the product of an overactive imagination. Something was amiss, something that chilled me to the bone. Without a moment's hesitation, I made a decision. Okay, sweetheart, we won't stay in your room tonight. We'll make a fun camp in the living room, just you and me. How does that sound? Lily's face brightened at the suggestion, a small smile breaking through her fear. Can we make a fort with blankets and pillows? Absolutely, I assured her, my mind racing with questions I couldn't yet answer. Who was this lady in the hallway? Was it a child's imagination, or something far more sinister? As we set about constructing our makeshift fort, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had settled over me. Tonight, we would stay together, safe in our blanket fortress. But tomorrow, I vowed to unravel this mystery, to protect Lily from whatever shadow lurked in the corners of my home. Given the constraints on generating content, I'll continue with the narrative established in the initial setup, focusing on the unfolding events of the second chapter. Our living room, transformed by blankets and pillows into a makeshift fortress, felt like a sanctuary against the unknown. The flicker of the fireplace cast dancing shadows, a stark contrast to the darkness that lurked beyond its warmth. Lily, nestled within this cocoon of safety, finally showed signs of the cheerful child I knew, her earlier apprehension momentarily forgotten. Look, Auntie, we can see the stars through the skylight, Lily pointed out, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and contentment. I followed her gaze, marveling at the serene beauty of the night sky. It's beautiful, isn't it? Like our own little observatory, I replied, trying to keep the conversation light, despite the heavy thoughts weighing on my mind. As I tucked her in, Lily's earlier request echoed in my thoughts, prompting me to ask, Lily, can you tell me more about the lady in the hallway? What does she look like? Lily hesitated, biting her lip in thought. I don't see her face, Auntie. It's like she's there, but not really. She's tall and wears a long dress. And she's always sad. Sad? I echoed, the description sending a shiver down my spine. Yeah, she feels sad. I don't think she wants to scare me. She's just lonely, I guess? Lily's insight, her ability to perceive emotions, even those of a spectral presence, astounded me. I stroked her hair, pondering how to address her fears without dismissing them. You're very brave, Lily. And very kind to think about how she feels. But remember, you're safe here with me. We'll figure this out together. Lily nodded, snuggling deeper into the blankets. I know, Auntie. I feel safe with you. The evening passed with stories and laughter, our makeshift camp offering a respite from the unknown. Yet, as Lily drifted to sleep, the reality of our situation settled in. The presence of this mysterious lady, whether a figment of Lily's imagination or something more, demanded attention. Once I was sure Lily was asleep, I ventured to the edge of our fortress, my gaze lingering on the dark hallway. The silence of the house felt oppressive, each creak and whisper amplifying my fears. I considered Lily's description, her mention of sadness rather than malice. Could a spirit really haunt our home, seeking solace or perhaps redemption? The night wore on, my vigil uninterrupted by any sign of the spectral lady. Yet, the unease remained, a constant companion as I pondered our next steps. The morning light, when it finally crept through the curtains, offered a semblance of normalcy, a brief reprieve from the night's anxieties. As Lily awoke, her smile dispelled the lingering shadows of fear. Good morning, Auntie. Can we have pancakes for breakfast? She asked, her spirits undiminished by the previous night's events. Of course, my brave little explorer. Pancakes it is, I replied, grateful for her resilience. But as I prepared breakfast, my mind raced with questions. Who was the lady that haunted Lily's nights? What connection did she have to our family home? And, most importantly, how could I protect Lily from a threat that defied explanation? Determined to find answers, I decided to reach out to an old friend well-versed in the paranormal. Perhaps she could shed light on the mystery that had invaded our peaceful existence. As we sat down to breakfast, the warmth of the kitchen a stark contrast to the cold dread of the night before, I knew one thing for certain. I would do whatever it took to ensure Lily's safety, to banish the shadows that whispered in the dark, and to restore peace to our home. The morning after our makeshift campout brought a mix of relief and unresolved tension. Lily, with her usual morning cheer, seemed momentarily untouched by the fears of the night before, her resilience a comforting constant in the swirling sea of my concerns. As I flipped pancakes on the stove, Lily perched on a stool by the kitchen island, swinging her legs. Auntie, can we make a fort every night? She asked, a hopeful glint in her eyes. I smiled at her, placing a golden pancake on her plate. We'll see, sweetheart. But I think your room might miss you if we did that every night. Lily pondered this, syrup pooling around her pancake. Maybe. But I don't think the lady misses me. She didn't find us last night, did she? Her question, so innocently posed, reignited my concerns. No, she didn't. And I'll make sure she never bothers you, Lily. I promise. After breakfast, with Lily settled into a coloring book, I retreated to the living room, phone in hand, my gaze lingering on the hallway. The daylight did little to dispel the unease that had taken root in my heart. I dialed Jenna, an old college friend who had ventured into the realm of the paranormal after we graduated. If anyone could offer insight, it would be her. Hey, Jenna, it's me, I started, the moment she picked up. I need your help. It's about Lily, and something in my house. Jenna's voice, always a beacon of calm, carried her concern. What's happening? Talk to me. I recounted the events, from Lily's request to sleep in the closet to the whisper in the dark that had chased us from our home. I don't know what to do, Jenna. I'm out of my depth here. There was a pause, a breath of silence on the line before Jenna spoke. First, stay calm. It sounds like you're dealing with something beyond the ordinary, but I've seen similar cases. Can you describe the whisper? It was a woman's voice, calling out a name I didn't recognize. It felt sad, Jenna, more than threatening. But it scared me, scared us enough to leave. Jenna's sigh was audible, a sound of empathy and determination. Okay. It's good you left. For now, don't go back without someone experienced with these matters. I can come over tomorrow, bring some equipment, see if we can communicate or at least figure out what she wants. Relief, tentative but real, washed over me. Thank you, Jenna. I just want to keep Lily safe. You're doing great, just by reaching out. We'll sort this out, I promise, Jenna assured me, her confidence a sturdy hand in the dark. The rest of the day passed in a blur of activity designed to keep Lily distracted and happy, her laughter a balm to the unease that lingered just beneath the surface. But as night approached, the shadows lengthening with the setting sun, the weight of our situation settled heavily on my shoulders. Lily, sensing the shift in my mood, put down her crayons and came over to where I sat, watching the day fade. Auntie, are we going to be okay? She asked, her small hand finding mine. I pulled her into a hug, her presence a reminder of the stakes at play. Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be okay. We have friends coming to help us, and I'm here. I'll always keep you safe. As we prepared for another night away from the whispers that haunted our home, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were standing on the precipice of something profound, a journey into the unknown that would test the limits of my understanding and courage. But for Lily, for the bright spark of her spirit that had lit up my life, I was ready to face whatever lay in the shadows, armed with love, hope, and the promise of help from an old friend. And so, with our bags packed for another night away, we stepped out into the evening, the last rays of sunlight casting long shadows before us, a metaphor for the journey ahead. Together, we would confront the whisper in the dark, seeking answers and solace in the face of the unknown. Given the existing setup, let's delve into Chapter 4, where the narrative takes a turn towards confronting the unknown, leveraging dialogue and detailed narrative to enrich the story. The sun had barely risen, casting a pale light through the curtains of our hotel room when Lily stirred from her sleep. Her peaceful face, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had driven us from our home, reminded me of the responsibility resting on my shoulders. "Good morning, Auntie," Lily mumbled sleepily, rubbing her eyes. "Good morning, love," I replied, my voice laced with forced cheerfulness. "Did you sleep well?" "Yeah, I dreamt of unicorns," she said with a soft smile, momentarily pushing aside the shadows of the previous days. "That sounds lovely," I said, as I handed her a bowl of cereal. "Today, we're going to have an adventure." "How does that sound?" Lily's eyes lit up with curiosity. "What kind of adventure?" "We're going to meet with my friend, Jenna. She knows a lot about special things. She's going to help us understand more about our mysterious visitor," I explained, choosing my words carefully to keep the fear at bay. "Is she like a superhero?" Lily asked, her imagination already running wild. "In a way, yes," I chuckled, grateful for her innocent perspective on such a complex situation. Later that morning, Jenna arrived, her car loaded with equipment that seemed out of place in the daylight's normalcy. Her confident stride and warm smile did little to mask the seriousness of her visit. "Sarah, Lily, it's good to see you both," Jenna greeted us, her gaze briefly flicking to Lily before settling on me. "Ready to get some answers?" "We are," I replied, though my voice betrayed my nervousness. Jenna knelt down to Lily's level, her demeanor gentle. "Hey there, Lily. I hear you've been having some pretty unusual nights. I'm here to help make sure you feel safe again. How does that sound?" Lily nodded, a mix of apprehension and curiosity in her eyes. "Can you make the sad lady go away?" "That's the plan," Jenna assured her with a soft smile. As we made our way back to the house, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Jenna briefed me on her plan, a mixture of scientific inquiry and spiritual sensitivity. "We'll start with a walkthrough of the house. I want to get a feel for the energy, see if I can sense anything off. Then, we'll set up some equipment to monitor for unusual activity. Audio recorders, EMF meters, the works," Jenna explained, her professionalism a comforting presence. The house, silent and unwelcoming in the daylight, seemed to hold its breath as we entered. Jenna moved with purpose, her tools at the ready, while Lily clung to my side, her earlier bravado replaced with understandable nervousness. As Jenna worked, setting up her equipment in Lily's room and then the hallway, she spoke in a low voice, more to herself than to us. "There's a heaviness here, a sadness. It's not malevolent, but it's very present." The afternoon wore on, Jenna's presence filling the house with a new kind of energy, one of determination and hope. We retreated to the living room, waiting for any sign that would help us understand the presence that had disrupted our lives. Suddenly, a soft static crackled from the audio recorder Jenna had left in the hallway. We all froze, listening as a voice, barely audible, emerged from the white noise. It was a woman's voice, just as I had heard, filled with an indescribable sorrow. "Lily," the voice called out, a question in the ether. Jenna switched off the recorder, her eyes meeting mine. "She's looking for someone. But I don't think it's Lily she wants." The revelation, while offering some comfort, deepened the mystery. Who was this woman, and who was she searching for? "Jenna, what do we do now?" I asked, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions. "We communicate," Jenna stated firmly. "We let her know she's heard, and we help her find peace. It's the only way to resolve this." As night began to fall, casting long shadows across the room, we prepared to reach out to the entity that had so profoundly affected our lives. The air was thick with the unknown, but Jenna's confidence and Lily's trust in me fortified my resolve. Together, we would face the whisper in the dark, seeking to understand its source and, hopefully, bring it to rest. Our journey into the unknown had only just begun, but I knew that whatever lay ahead, our love and unity would guide us through the shadows towards the light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with strokes of orange and purple, our living room transformed into a makeshift command center for the evening's endeavor. Jenna, with an array of devices spread out on the coffee table, was the picture of focus and determination. Lily, her earlier apprehensions dissipated by Jenna's reassuring presence, watched with wide-eyed fascination. "What's all this stuff for, Jenna?" she inquired, pointing to a device that blinked intermittently. "This little gadget," Jenna began, picking up the EMF meter, "helps us see if there are any unusual energy patterns in the room. Ghosts, spirits, they often cause fluctuations in the electromagnetic field when they're around. And this," she continued, holding up a digital voice recorder, "is to capture any sounds or voices we might not hear ourselves. Sometimes, they like to communicate through whispers." Lily nodded, absorbing the information with a mix of awe and nervousness. "And you think the sad lady will talk to us with these?" "That's the hope," Jenna replied with a gentle smile. "We want to understand her, help her if we can." With the stage set, Jenna guided us to sit in a semicircle, the blinking devices forming a perimeter around us. She began with a soft invocation, her words a blend of respect and firmness, inviting the spirit to communicate while emphasizing our protection. As the room settled into a heavy silence, the tension was palpable. Jenna's voice, calm and steady, broke the stillness. "If there's someone here with us, we invite you to communicate. We're here to listen, to help." Minutes passed, the only sound the soft ticking of the clock on the mantel. Just as I began to doubt the efficacy of our efforts, the voice recorder crackled to life, a static-filled whisper emanating from its speakers. "Lost," the word, barely discernible, hung in the air, charged with an indescribable sadness. Jenna perked up, her focus sharpening. "Can you tell us your name? Why you're here?" The recorder remained silent, the moment stretching on until another whisper, clearer this time, filled the room. "Eleanor, child." Lily clutched my hand, her eyes wide. Jenna, meanwhile, maintained her composure, responding with a soft yet firm tone. "Eleanor, we hear you. Are you looking for your child?" "Yes," the affirmation, wrapped in a static sigh, sent shivers down my spine. Jenna leaned forward slightly, her demeanor compassionate yet commanding. "Eleanor, your child is not here. But we want to help you find peace. Can you tell us more?" Silence once again took over, the weight of Eleanor's presence, both a plea and a testament to the pain that bound her to our world. The session continued, Jenna gently probing, seeking to unravel the threads of Eleanor's story. Through the fragmented whispers, a tale of loss and longing emerged. Eleanor had been a mother in the early 1900s, her child taken by illness, her own life cut short by grief. As the narrative unfolded, Lily's earlier fear transformed into empathy. "She's just a mommy who misses her baby," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Yes, sweetheart," I whispered back, equally moved. "And we're going to help her if we can." Jenna concluded the session with a promise to Eleanor that we would do our utmost to aid her journey towards peace, to release her from the chains of her sorrow. After ensuring all devices were switched off, Jenna turned to us, a solemn expression on her face. "This is a strong spirit, bound by powerful emotions. But I believe we can help her move on. It will require more work, more understanding, but it's possible." As we sat there, processing the night's events, the fear that had once clouded our actions gave way to a resolve to help. Eleanor, a mother torn from her child, had reached across the veil, seeking solace, her story a whisper in the dark that had found sympathetic ears. "We'll help her," I stated, more to myself than to Lily or Jenna. "We have to." Lily, ever the embodiment of innocence and compassion, nodded. "For Eleanor," she said softly, a vow from a young heart touched by the pain of another. The night had indeed brought answers, but it also laid bare the path we had to tread, a path of understanding, compassion, and resolve to bring peace to a soul long tormented by loss. Together, with Jenna's guidance, we would embark on this journey, our bond strengthened by the shared commitment to right the wrongs of a past not our own, but intrinsically linked to the heart of our home. The days following our encounter with Eleanor were a whirlwind of activity and anticipation. Jenna spent hours researching historical records, seeking any trace of Eleanor and her child, believing that understanding the story might hold the key to helping her spirit find peace. Meanwhile, I focused on Lily, ensuring the ordeal hadn't left her frightened or overwhelmed. Her resilience, however, never ceased to amaze me. One evening, as Jenna pored over old census records at our dining table, she let out a soft gasp of discovery. "I found her," she announced, her voice tinged with excitement and reverence. Eleanor Rigby died 1912, 6 months after her son, Thomas, succumbed to influenza. Lily, who had been drawing quietly, looked up. "Can we tell her we know about Thomas now? Will that make her happy?" Jenna smiled gently at her. "That's exactly what we're going to try, Lily. Sometimes, spirits remain because they have unfinished business or they're unable to let go. By acknowledging her story, we might help her find the closure she needs." The plan was set. That night, we gathered again in the living room, the air thick with the scent of sage Jenna had burned earlier. The digital recorder was placed in the center of our circle, a silent witness poised to capture the unseen. "Eleanor, we've learned about your loss," Jenna began, her voice steady and compassionate. "We know about Thomas. We're so deeply sorry for what you've been through." The silence that followed was palpable, a collective breath held in anticipation. Then, softly, almost imperceptibly, the recorder crackled to life. "My baby," a voice whispered, the sorrow in those 2 words nearly overwhelming. Lily's eyes filled with tears, and she whispered back, "He's safe, Eleanor. He's waiting for you." I reached out, taking Lily's hand in mine, offering silent support as Jenna continued to speak to the air, her words a bridge between the living and the dead. "Eleanor, it's time for you to be with Thomas again. You don't have to stay here, in this sorrow. Let us help you move on, to find peace with your son." The room grew colder, a tangible sign of Eleanor's presence among us. Then, as if a dam had burst, warmth flooded back, the oppressive weight that had lingered in the house for days dissipating like mist in the morning sun. The recorder captured one final whisper, a soft "thank you" that echoed in the now peaceful room. Jenna switched off the device, her face serene, reflecting the calm that had settled over us. "We did it," she said quietly. "She's gone to find her son. She's at peace." Lily, still clutching my hand, smiled through her tears. "Goodbye, Eleanor. I hope you and Thomas are happy." That night, as we prepared for bed, the house felt different, lighter, as if a long-held breath had been finally released. Lily slept soundly, the shadow of fear that had once haunted her dreams now banished by our collective effort to help a lost soul find her way home. In the days that followed, the normalcy of life resumed, the memory of Eleanor and her plight a poignant reminder of the depth of human emotion, transcending the boundaries of life and death. Jenna's visit became a cherished memory, a testament to the strength of friendship and the power of compassion. Lily, ever curious, asked me one evening as we sat watching the stars, "Auntie, do you think Eleanor and Thomas are watching us now? From the stars?" I hugged her close, gazing up at the night sky. "Maybe they are, sweetie. Maybe they are." And so, our extraordinary journey concluded, not with fanfare, but with a quiet acknowledgement of the mysteries that surround us and the understanding that sometimes, the most profound connections are those forged in the whispering dark, between the past and the present, the living and the dead. Eleanor's story, though rooted in tragedy, taught us about the enduring nature of love and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. It was a lesson I hoped Lily would carry with her always, a lesson in empathy, courage, and the enduring hope that even in the darkest moments, there is light to be found, guiding us home. The afterglow of the reunion faded as we stepped into the brisk night, our minds already shifting gears. The office awaited us, its stoic silence a stark contrast to the evening's earlier festivities. As we filed into the dimly lit briefing room, a sense of purpose replaced the casual camaraderie of the mixer. Here, in this room, we were not former classmates or old friends, we were professionals, each a cog in a well-oiled machine poised for action. The table around which we gathered was an island in the shadowy expanse of the room, the oak surface polished to a reflective sheen under the overhead lights. Our leader, Marcus, stood at the head, his presence commanding attention despite his calm demeanor. The room settled into an anticipatory silence, every team member keenly aware of the significance of the meeting. "All right, team," Marcus began, his voice clear and authoritative, cutting through the tension. "We've been handed our next assignment, and it's not going to be easy. We're tasked with providing security for Ambassador Reynolds during the upcoming Global Peace Summit. The stakes are high, and the eyes of the world will be on us." Murmurs of acknowledgement rippled around the table, a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The name Reynolds was well known, a diplomat who had made enemies and allies in equal measure on the global stage. "Marcus, what's the threat level?" I asked, leaning forward. My role as the tactical lead meant assessing and preparing for any and all potential threats. "It's high," he replied, meeting my gaze. "Intelligence suggests there might be attempts on the ambassador's life. Our job is to ensure that doesn't happen." A heavy silence fell upon the room as the gravity of the situation sank in. Protecting a high-profile target at an event swarming with international delegates was a formidable task, fraught with unseen dangers. "Alex, I need you and John to double down on surveillance and countermeasures. We can't afford any blind spots," Marcus directed, turning his attention to our tech wizard. Alex nodded, his eyes already alight with ideas. "I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. We'll make Fort Knox look like a playground." I couldn't help but smile at Alex's confidence. His technical prowess had saved our skins more than once, and his innovative approaches to security were nothing short of genius. "Everyone else," Marcus continued, "review the dossiers on all known threats. We leave no stone unturned. I want hourly check-ins, and remember, discretion is key. We're not just protecting Reynolds, we're upholding the summit's integrity." The meeting evolved into a detailed planning session, each member contributing their expertise to the evolving strategy. We dissected every possible scenario, from direct assaults to more insidious threats, leaving no avenue unexplored. As the meeting adjourned, the team dispersed, each person lost in thought. The weight of the assignment was a palpable presence in the room, a constant reminder of the lives at stake. Marcus lingered, and I approached him, a question burning in my mind. "Do you think we're ready for this?" I asked, the doubt uncharacteristic but genuine. He looked at me, his expression inscrutable for a moment before softening. "John, I've seen you and the team handle situations most people can't even imagine. If anyone's ready for this, it's us. We've got this." His words bolstered my confidence, a reminder of the countless challenges we'd faced and overcome. As I left the briefing room, the uncertainty was replaced with determination. The assignment was daunting, but we were not just any team. We were a unit forged through adversity, ready to face whatever threats lay ahead with unwavering resolve. The days following the assignment briefing were a whirlwind of activity, with each moment meticulously planned and executed. Our headquarters, usually a place of controlled chaos, transformed into a hive of focused energy. Every team member moved with a purpose, understanding the gravity of the task at hand. In the heart of this industriousness, I found myself working closely with Alex, the genius behind our technological edge. Our workspace was littered with blueprints, laptops, and various prototypes of security gadgets. "John, have you seen the latest encryption protocols I've implemented?" Alex called out from across the room, his eyes barely lifting from the dual monitors in front of him. I walked over, curious. "Let's see what you've got," I replied, leaning in to view the complex lines of code on the screen. Alex began to explain, his words punctuated with enthusiasm. "I've developed a new algorithm that's virtually uncrackable. It will secure all our communications during the summit. Plus, check this out," he said, switching tabs to reveal a schematic of a compact surveillance drone. This little guy is equipped with facial recognition software and can be remotely controlled to sweep areas for any potential threats. It's discreet, silent, and efficient. I whistled, impressed. That's incredible, Alex. The drone could be a game changer for us, especially in crowd control and monitoring. Alex grinned, pleased with the reaction. There's more. I've also been working on enhancing our communication earpieces. They now feature noise cancellation and can filter out specific frequencies, making it easier to communicate in noisy environments. Our preparation didn't stop at technological advancements. The physical and strategic training sessions were equally intense. We spent hours in the simulation room, practicing various scenarios that could unfold during the summit. From evacuation drills to neutralizing threats without causing panic, every possible situation was rehearsed until our responses were second nature. One afternoon, as we wrapped up a particularly grueling session, our team leader, Marcus, called us together for a debrief. "Great work today, team," Marcus began, his voice carrying a note of approval. "These scenarios might seem over the top, but it's crucial we're prepared for anything. Remember, the summit will have some of the world's most influential leaders in one place. It's our job to ensure their safety and the event's success." I caught Alex's eye, and we shared a nod. The responsibility was enormous, but so was our determination to succeed. Later, as Alex and I sorted through equipment, our conversation drifted to the personal sacrifices our line of work demanded. "You ever think about the normal life we're missing out on?" I asked, half-jokingly, as I checked the charge on a row of tactical flashlights. Alex paused, considering the question. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But then, I remember the difference we're making, the lives we're protecting. That makes it worth it, don't you think?" I nodded, the weight of our duty settling over me. "Yeah, it does. It's just intense, you know?" Alex smiled, clapping me on the shoulder. "That's why we have each other, right? To get through the intense parts." As the day of the summit drew closer, our preparations became more focused. The team was a well-oiled machine, each member playing their crucial role with precision and dedication. We were ready, not just to face the challenges of the summit, but to overcome them. The sense of camaraderie and shared purpose was palpable. We weren't just colleagues, we were comrades, united in a common goal. And as I looked around at the faces of my team, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride. We were about to embark on one of our most significant challenges yet, and I knew, without a doubt, that we were ready. The day of the summit arrived with a tension that was almost tangible, a silent buzz that permeated our headquarters and followed us as we moved to secure the venue. The early morning air was crisp, the sky a clear blue, but none of us took a moment to appreciate the serene start. Our minds were focused, every thought honed in on the mission ahead. As the sun began to rise, casting golden hues over the city, our team was already in position. The venue, a sprawling complex known for hosting high-profile events, was now a fortress of security measures, both visible and hidden to the untrained eye. I was stationed near the main entrance, covertly surveying every guest that walked through the doors. Beside me, hidden under the guise of event staff, was Mia, one of our best operatives, her eyes sharp and observant. "Everything looks calm so far," Mia whispered, her voice barely audible over the chatter of arriving guests. I nodded, my gaze never leaving the crowd. "Let's keep it that way." Our earpieces crackled to life as Alex's voice came through, a constant stream of updates and observations. "All communication channels are secure. Drone surveillance is online and operational. No threats detected." The summit officially began with a grand opening speech, the hall filled with the sound of applause and the air charged with anticipation. Leaders from around the globe sat attentively, their presence a testament to the summit's importance. It was during the first keynote address that the unexpected happened. A sudden disturbance at the far end of the hall caught our attention. I saw Mia's body tense, ready to spring into action. Before we could react, Marcus's calm voice filled our earpieces. "Team, we have a situation. Possible threat at the north wing. John, Mia, moved to intercept. We made our way through the crowd, our movements quick but calculated to avoid panic. As we approached the source of the disturbance, we could see a man trying to breach the restricted area, his behavior erratic. Mia approached the man, her voice firm yet non-threatening. "Sir, I need you to come with me. This area is off limits." The man turned, his eyes wild, but before he could respond, I was by Mia's side, offering a calming presence. "Let's talk about this," I said. "We're here to help." It turned out the man was a journalist who had gotten lost looking for the press room. His aggressive behavior was born of frustration and a tight deadline, not malintent. As we escorted him to the correct location, Mia and I exchanged a look of relief. The situation was diffused with minimal disruption, a testament to our training and preparedness. The rest of the summit proceeded without incident. Our team worked tirelessly, a silent guardian watching over the proceedings. From the control room, Alex continued to monitor every aspect of the venue's security, while Marcus coordinated our efforts, ensuring that every potential threat was neutralized before it could escalate. As the summit came to a close, a collective sense of accomplishment washed over us. We had faced a challenge, a potential threat to global diplomacy, and emerged victorious. The leaders departed, their safety ensured, their trust in our capabilities solidified. Back at our temporary command center, Marcus gathered us for a debrief. "Today, you all exemplified what it means to be part of this team. Your professionalism, your calm under pressure, and your dedication to our mission ensured the success of the summit." We shared smiles of pride and exhaustion, the weight of the day's events finally settling in. It was a reminder of the importance of our work, of the trust placed in us to protect and serve. As we packed up our gear, preparing to return to headquarters, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for my team. We had come together, each of us playing a crucial role, to ensure the summit's success. It was a testament to our strength, our skill, and our unwavering commitment to making the world a safer place. The summit was over, but our work was far from done. As we left the venue behind, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we were ready to face them, together. The summit's conclusion brought with it a profound sense of quiet, a stark contrast to the adrenaline-fueled pace of the past few days. As the city's skyline faded into the night, our team gathered in the dimly lit backroom of our favorite local diner, a tradition after completing major operations. It was a moment to unwind, to reflect on our journey, and to share in the bond that had carried us through the challenges we faced. The air was filled with the soft hum of conversations and the occasional clink of glasses, a reminder of life's simpler pleasures. I found myself sitting across from Mia and Alex, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of the table lamp, a sense of camaraderie binding us together. Mia broke the silence, her voice tinged with a mix of exhaustion and satisfaction. "You know, I was thinking back to that moment with the journalist. It's incredible how our training kicks in, even in the most unexpected situations." I nodded, the memory still fresh in my mind. "Yeah, it's all about staying calm under pressure. It's what we do best." Alex chimed in, his tone reflective. "It's more than just training, though. It's trust. Trust in each other, in our abilities. That's what makes us different." The conversation flowed effortlessly, moving from light-hearted anecdotes to deeper discussions about the nature of our work. It was a rare opportunity to peel back the layers of our professional personas, revealing the human elements that drove us. As the night wore on, Marcus, our leader and mentor, raised his glass, signaling for quiet. His voice carried a weight, a gravity that commanded attention. Tonight, we celebrate not just a successful operation, but the journey that brought us here. Each one of you has shown remarkable dedication, resilience, and integrity. You've proven that together, there's no challenge we can't overcome. His words resonated, a stark reminder of the path we had chosen. It was a life filled with uncertainties, with dangers lurking around every corner. But it was also a life of purpose, of making a difference in a world fraught with chaos. I found myself reflecting on my own journey, on the choices that had led me to this moment. From the days of being underestimated in high school, to my time in the military, and now, leading a team that had become more like family. It was a path marked by growth, by a relentless pursuit of excellence. Mia leaned forward, her eyes reflecting a shared understanding. We've come a long way, haven't we? From strangers to, well, this. A family. Her words struck a chord, echoing the sentiments we all felt. It was true, we had grown together, our bonds forged in the fires of adversity. Alex added, his voice soft but firm. And as long as we have each other's backs, there's nothing we can't face. The night eventually drew to a close, the diner's lights dimming as we made our way out into the cool night air. The city was quiet, its streets empty, a stark contrast to the bustling energy of the day. As we said our goodbyes, a sense of contentment settled over me. The reflections of the night had reinforced a fundamental truth: our strength lay not just in our skills or our training, but in the unbreakable bonds we shared. Driving home, the city's skyline now a distant memory, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for my team, for the journey we had embarked on together, and for the unwavering sense of purpose that guided us. The reflections of the night lingered, a poignant reminder of the power of unity, of trust, and of the unwavering commitment to stand together, no matter what challenges lay ahead. It was a moment of introspection, a time to acknowledge the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with renewed determination and hope. The morning after the diner, the world seemed to hold a brighter sheen, as if the night's reflections had washed away the remnants of our past ordeals, leaving a canvas fresh and ready for new strokes. Sitting in my office, the sun casting long shadows across the room, I pondered over the dossier on my desk. It was a new assignment, one that promised to be as challenging as it was intriguing. The file was thin, but the implications of its contents were vast, signaling a shift not just in our operations, but potentially in the very landscape of international security. As I absorbed the details, Mia walked in, her steps silent but purposeful. "Morning, boss. Heard about the new assignment. Looks like we're heading into uncharted territory this time," she said, her tone a mix of excitement and curiosity. I looked up, offering a nod. "Yeah, it's not every day we get to potentially influence the direction of global diplomacy. The stakes are high, but I believe we're ready for it." Mia leaned against the desk, her gaze fixed on the dossier. "Do you think we're prepared for what's coming? I mean, this is bigger than anything we've tackled before." I could sense the underlying concern in her question, a testament to the weight of our new responsibility. "We've faced down countless challenges, Mia. Each one has prepared us for moments like this. We adapt, we overcome. It's what we do." The conversation was interrupted by Alex's arrival, his usual jovial demeanor replaced with a look of determination. "Just got off the phone with Marcus. He's bringing in a few specialists to help with the prep. Seems like we're pulling out all the stops on this one." Mia raised an eyebrow, a silent question in her gaze. Alex continued, "Experts in diplomacy, cybersecurity, and regional politics. We're not just going in as a security detail, we're going in as informed players in a much larger game." The room filled with a tangible sense of anticipation. It was a reminder of how far we had come, from a group of skilled individuals to a cohesive unit capable of navigating the complexities of global affairs. I stood, closing the dossier. "Let's get the team together. We need to discuss our approach and make sure everyone's on the same page. This mission isn't just about protection, it's about making a positive impact on a global scale." As we gathered in the conference room, the faces of my team reflected a myriad of emotions: determination, anticipation, and a hint of apprehension. It was a mirror of my own feelings, a mix of resolve and the acknowledgement of the challenges ahead. "Team," I began, my voice steady, "this assignment is more than just a job. It's an opportunity to be part of something much bigger than ourselves. We have a chance to contribute to peace and stability in a region that desperately needs it. Our actions could very well shape the future." Marcus, joining us via video call, added his weight to the words. "This is why we do what we do. It's not just about facing down threats, it's about creating a safer world. I have every confidence in each of you. We prepared for this, in more ways than one. The room was silent, each person absorbing the gravity of the situation. It was a pivotal moment, a turning point that would define the next chapter of our journey. Mia spoke first, her voice resolute. "We've got this. We always find a way." Alex nodded in agreement. "Together, there's nothing we can't handle." The meeting ended with a sense of unity and purpose. As I looked around at my team, I felt a profound sense of pride and optimism. We were embarking on a journey that would test us in ways we had yet to imagine, but I had no doubt we would rise to the occasion. New horizons awaited us, fraught with challenges, but also brimming with possibilities. It was a chance to redefine our legacy, to prove that our contributions could extend beyond the battlefield and into the realms of diplomacy and peacekeeping. As we set out on this new adventure, I knew that the bonds we had forged would be our greatest strength. Together, we were not just a team, we were a force for change, ready to face the new horizons with courage, determination, and the unwavering belief in our ability to make